Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. So I have my latest junk journal back out again, and why? Because during the process of making the album and also with the flip through video, I had quite a lot of people asking me how I made these papers. Maybe in the back you can see them all. Let me just open this up. How I made these papers look so vintage and so faux burnt or whatever. Just how I distressed my papers. So that's what I will be showing you today. Okay, how I did my cover and how I distress. I do have another video somewhere in between my page decorating process videos. But I thought I'd make one just for distress inking and how I do this type of technique, so that you don't have to go look for the other video in the middle of my other videos, etc. So what we will need is, just to tell you, I did use 2 layers of papers on my cover. I used old book paper, okay, and then I used tissue paper, right? I will be using both of them. Okay, so I will show you how I did that. Let me just put that one away. So first thing we need is book paper, right? And I haven't torn them yet because, you know me, I don't prepare a thing, now do I? Well, at least I have my... Okay, well, let's go. I did prepare something. I have my matte medium out. You will need matte medium. For this, you will need a paintbrush. I got my paintbrush right here. If you don't have... Well, I use this matte medium. You can use Mod Podge, of course, in gloss or in matte, right? Same thing. Depends on what you like. I prefer the matte. I don't like the glossy that much. I think that's enough paper. I'm not going to do a cover. What else would you need? So you need the old paper. If you don't have tissue paper, you don't need tissue paper. You don't need that second layer. But you can have different types of old book paper. For example, old book paper and music paper. Alright, I'll be using this one as well. And so what else do you need? So that's matte medium, that's a paintbrush, and water to clean up your paintbrush. Oh, of course, distress inks. Okay, you will need any type of brown distress ink. Okay, the ones that I'm using are... Sorry, I just scratched my eye there. It's itchy. I'm so sorry. So I'm using walnut stain and, sorry, other way around. I'm using walnut stain and vintage photo. Okay, so if you don't have these colors, don't worry. You just need a darker brown and a lighter brown. All right, okay. You can mix them up. They're all good. And then of course you need tissue paper, which I do not have. I need to go fetch my tissue paper. Give me a moment there. There we go. So I just got my tissue paper. This is my tissue paper. I have 2 brands in here. I have Paper Mania tissue paper, which I think is this, and then I have a Tim Holtz tissue paper, which is that, I think, or vice versa, something like that. One is cheaper than the other, but they are equally the same in my opinion. They do the same thing. Alright, so what do I need? I need a book. Where am I going to do this on? So let me grab something here. Let me grab my lap book box. I know I have my signature somewhere in here. Okay, let me just get a signature out. Like I said, I will not be doing this on a cover or anything. I'll just be doing it on a simple page. Let me get a nice white one. Do I have a double white one somewhere here? That could have been it. That could have been it. Well, that will be it. Okay, let me take this one out. My signatures are not sewn yet. Alright, so I'll be working on this white piece of paper. Just really make it real enough for you, so I'm not cheating or anything, and not having any brown background or not having any distressed ink background. So basically what I did was, I got my old book paper and I got it into little 1 or 2 pieces together. Something that you can do to tear it, or the amount of papers that you can put together just to tear it. Some papers are nice and thin, you can put 3 or 4 together. Some papers are very thick, just like my one, and I can only put 2 or 3 together. And the first thing I do is I just tear. I really tear, I don't cut. I tear around the words. So I basically take the margin, that white margin, or the margin without any words, I just take that out. and this will be a long process. I'm going to do it very, very fast, and it's going to be very messy. That's alright. It's just for video process. Put that in my recycling bin, because I do have my paper recycling bin next to me where my paper goes. And this just makes it easier so that you don't need to get those small little pieces of paper and then have to tear the small pieces of paper. I prefer tearing a big piece of paper than a small piece of paper. And I'm sorry if this is making too much noise. Hope you can still hear me. Okay, so that's done. And if it's not enough, I'll just have to go and get some more. And then what I do to these, I separate them if I can. Okay, separate them, and then I just tear them again into smaller pieces. So like that. They don't have to be all the same size. Different sizes look good. See which side looks better, which side has more text, and choose. And this is going to take very long. I think I'm just going to do one of the sides. It'll look very... You know what I am actually going to do? I'm going to do both sides, but I'm going to try 2 colors today, because I want to do that shabby chic style junk journal. What if I try this side, the brown tones, like I say I'm going to do today, the brown tones. And then on this side, instead of the brown tones, what if I try the nice pink tones and just start preparing, or see if it looks good. I have no idea if it's going to work just as nice as this one. But what if I do this side with the pink tones? That actually might be that might be interesting. So maybe I'll try that if this video doesn't take too long, because I have a lot of things to distress here. So these are my papers, alright, and it doesn't matter if they don't go in the same order, it doesn't bother me. Alright, so let's do one at a time, and with your distress tool and with a sponge. Okay, this is your normal distress. You can do the round one. These are the very old ones. They're my first ones, so I've still got them. And I will be using the vintage photo first. I will be using the lighter brown first, okay? And you will want to use the lighter brown first. Now, one thing about distressing is you don't bang your ink pad. This is not a postal service that you bang your ink pad. No. Actually, Tim Holtz teaches you that you must just rub it in, like it's like rubbing, get it nicely on your sponge. And then most people think that you just directly put it on your paper. No, there's too much ink on the sponge now. Okay, well, I really rubbed it now. I have too much ink on my sponge, so I take the excess off, and that is just by having a. By the way, you need a surface, you need a type of surface that won't absorb the ink. Definitely not paper. Okay, do not do this on top of paper. It has to be like a nice smooth surface. If you don't have a craft mat, maybe a glass surface, or something that won't absorb the ink. So I'm taking the excess off, okay, and then lightly on your paper. Okay, you're just going to do circular motions on your paper all the way down, and you'll want to tilt your sponge a little bit. So imagine this is my flat surface. I'm not doing this, I'm going to do this. Alright, I'm just tilting it a bit, and I will be doing the circular motions on like that. Alright, just start anywhere and tilt it so you can see that it starts to just on the edge. Alright, and then I like to get some just on the edge, and then I start untilting. So I really start bringing it in, okay, and that will just make the ink go more inside your paper. So the more you tilt, the more on the edge it'll go, and then the more you don't tilt, the more inside your ink will go. Okay, and always circular motions. And you will want to, and well, why do I do the this edge first? Now, because I want it just goes darker first, and then your inside will go lighter and lighter. Okay, so I do the tilted one first on the edge so that my edge can go darker, and then slowly but surely I just untilt it so that it can go inside the page and it'll be lighter, because you want that like dark to light. Okay, from outside to the inside you want the dark to light. Okay, now I need more ink, and instead of going here on my ink pad, I did take half of it off here, so I will just grab it. Okay, you can't see it, but I can see it. It's still there, and it's enough for this part. Okay, and that one's done. And it's okay if you have more here for example, I have more here and I have very little here. It's all right. Okay, that doesn't need to be all the same. Just get some more ink there. It does not need to be all uniform. So I just bang that there. Not supposed to bang. And I know my vintage photo is going nice and dry, so that's why I'm banging it. Don't bang the poor thing. Okay, I most probably am going to pause the video, because this will be very tedious for everyone. Okay, just to watch me go through a bunch of papers doing exactly the same thing. So at some time I will be pausing the video. I'm just trying to see if I can remember anything else that I can say about the distress ink and then this technique, but I don't think so. It's very simple. You don't press very hard unless your ink is very dry. Okay, then yeah, you're gonna have to press hard just for your ink to get onto the paper. But the lighter you press, the more natural, if it's the best word I can get, the more natural it will look. Because let me just do one here when I don't actually clean the tool. This is what happens when you don't clean the tool, and when you see what difference it makes, and then that'll absorb almost everything, and then all of a sudden your rest will just have very, very little. So that doesn't look that bad, but that's not what we want. Okay, well, you still use it. Okay, I don't think I have anything else to say, so I will be just not fast forwarding. I'll just pause it, and then when I come back, I'll have these pieces done for you. Okay, so all my little pieces of paper have been distressed with my lighter brown. I'm using the vintage photo, and so I will be putting aside my distress tool, and I will be taking the darker brown. In this case, I am using the walnut stain, and I will be using the ink pad directly on the paper. Okay, if you only have one brown, you can use that same brown. All right, let me show you. Let me show you what the same brown does. So I've used the vintage photo for this one, for the distressing, and I will be using the vintage photo on the edge. Because I'm using the ink pad, you'll still see the difference between the color, because in the distressing, with the distress tool, I put very little color and it came out very soft, and using the using the ink pad itself directly on the paper, of course it's going to deposit more ink, and it's going to be darker. Okay, so it'll still work if you only have one color. You see that? Okay, but I like using I actually think I'll be using both of them, so we'll just see how that looks with both of them. And this is my walnut stain, and basically you're just rubbing the edge of the paper with the, or not rubbing the edge of the paper with the ink pad. Okay, and if you can't get some of the edges, don't worry too much about it. Okay, basically not much of a difference. This is a little slightly lighter than that one, but it still looks good. Now, if your ink pad is very, very dry, this may not come out as nice. Okay, as or as I just painted my finger there. Oh, you will get lots of ink on your fingers. Don't worry about it. It'll just take you about 3 or 4 days to wash off. I'm joking. Just wash it off with warm water straight away. Don't wait like half an hour. It'll just really, then it'll be harder. Just wash it off, and it should come off. And if it doesn't come off, well, then you just have to wait about a few days. I'm joking. It's not that bad. But yes, sometimes it does take a while to get off. Wash it with warm water a few times. I have found that happens. But that's when I'm sitting here for like an hour or two or the whole morning, and I distress for the whole morning, and my fingers get really dirty, and I don't wash them straight away. I just sit there, I wash it in the end of the morning, and that's like already too late. So yeah, let me try some of the lighter brown. I did say I was going to mix and match, right? So let's try the lighter brown. So I will just be pausing the video now because, well, watch me do the same thing over and over. It's no fun. So when I come back, I'll have these ones done. I just remembered something on this last one. If your ink pads are dry and if this doesn't work, don't throw your ink pads away, okay? Or don't go out and buy a new ink pad. Rangers has the re-inkers, so they are these little bottles that you buy with the same color, and you just re-ink your pads. So, and I think these big ones cost the same, or they used to. These big ones cost the same as the re-inkers, so it's actually quite a good price, if you may say, because you re-ink your pad a whole bunch of times, so it's not that pricey. Okay, so I have finished that, and doesn't that look yummy? Put it against the white so you can see. That looks great, doesn't it? I think it looks great. So now we get our matte medium, our medium. You can use Mod Podge, like I said. You can use the brilliant, not the brilliant, it's the what's it called? The gloss. Thank you. The gloss. You can use the matte, whatever you prefer. I prefer matte, so I will be using matte. And the way this goes is that you just, well, either you put some on your page or you put some on your paintbrush and you just start paintbrushing. Alright, just start, oops, daisy. Sorry about that, that was just loads of glue there. I like putting it on the page and then I spread. Okay, and be generous, alright, don't be scared. Be generous, the paper can handle it. And that's why I have my craft mat underneath, because it doesn't, it cleans nicely. It doesn't make the glue stick. It really cleans up nicely. So I'll be doing this quick because this one really does dry up nicely. Nice and quick. And I will be doing that. Now one thing you must remember. Okay, I am going to put this over there once, so I will need glue here. Okay. And distressing has this wonderful thing that it reacts to liquid. Okay, anything that's liquid like water, it will react, and of course glue will react. You can really see that my paintbrush is a little bit brown. The glue is a little bit brown here in comparison to the one I just put here. That's because it just picked up the distressing on the paper. Okay, so don't be frightened about that. It's normal. It's supposed to do that. Alright. Get a little more glue there. So I'm just, you see the glue is actually making the distress ink react, and while I'm pushing it out, so will the glue push out. And that just makes it look actually pretty neat, in my opinion. It'll look Nice there. I think that one will go there. Just fill up these gaps. Don't worry. I need glue. You can see how this glue is making the distress ink to react. It's actually quite pretty. I wasn't putting the paper on top of it right. There. Too much. Use it somewhere else. It actually looks like I'm using the Mod Podge sepia, doesn't it? I think Mod Podge has a glue. I think it's Mod Podge. I'm sure it's Mod Podge. They have a glue that, well, not a glue, a medium that, well, when you brush it over, when you put it over your, whatever you're doing, your paper, your photograph, whatever it is, it actually turns it into sepia. You know, those old colored photos, sepia style. That's exactly what this is doing. So now, resizing this one, and just do that. The one thing about distress inks, you can layer them on top of each other, so they stack them up on top of each other. All right. Easy storage. Tim Holtz thinks of everything, doesn't he? Okay, that's that one. And that one will be here. Just straighten this one up just a little bit more. Get it inked on the edge. Because I did cut it. Not cut it, tear it. Sorry. We don't cut paper, we tear paper. That looks much better. Alright. Doesn't that look so great? And what I'd like to do is just brush the distress ink so that it reacts, so that what the color we put on the edge will come just slightly in. They don't need to do this, of course. I just like the way it blends. I really like the way it blends. But anyway, we will have to do that, especially if you're going to put the tissue paper on top. And the tissue paper makes it actually very nice. So let me go get some tissue paper. And what will I be using? I like using this one. And I can't remember whose this one is, but I think this one is, oh, I can't remember. But never mind. It's either Tim Holtz's tissue paper or it is Paper Mania tissue paper. And there's loads of the tissue paper in this. Alright, let's see if I can get oh, there's a nice dragonfly there. How about using that dragonfly? So all you need to do is just get a nice piece of tissue paper and select what you want. Sort of tear the size of your page. A little bit more. And tear it along. There we go, it's about the same size. And then pack the rest away. Let's pack the rest away. Now for this you will need Mod Podge once again. Now if you don't want to cover all of it up, you don't need to. Okay, because you still want to see some of that book page, alright? I think I will be tearing, this is too dark, so I will be doing something like this. I'll just go all the way. Doing that. And I like that dragonfly, really do. Oh, let me just do it like that. There we go. This is just a test page, so once again, this whole thing needs to be covered with your Mod Podge, your medium, your glue medium, whatever you are using. It really needs to be covered up into. Alright, and I need to do this fast because this glue dries up very quickly. Should have brought a bigger brush, but anyway. Like I said, I don't plan. And I can already see the medium changing color. They were so pretty. It'll just make the extra interest when I put down this tissue paper. See that? Okay. Now, once you've put this one down, you need to put Mod Podge or your medium on top as well. Okay. Don't press too much, or you're going to tear the tissue paper. Not sticking it. And you can still see a lot of the book page behind, so that's quite good. And Mod Podge again on top, or you'll use your medium on top and just brush it all the way again. This is just a seal. Okay, this seals the tissue paper onto the book page below, or whatever it is below. That's why I need to do this again. Alright. And even this can stay on the side. I'm not worried too much about it. There we go. Now, one thing that I don't like seeing is brush strokes going this way and then that way and then on. So I just do everything the same way. So in the end, I just make them go the same way. Alright. And I am using a rather thick bristle brush. I think that's how you could say it. My bristles are very thick. It's not that nice thin one, or the smoother one. So I will notice the brush strokes more on this with this brush. So how does that look? That is how I did my cover for my junk journal. Okay. So what will I do now? Oh yes, I will do the, why do I do the pink version? Would you like me to see me doing the pink version? Well, if you want to see me do the pink version, carry on watching. I'm just going to clean my mat here, and then I will gather my things for the pink version of my test page with this distress ink and faux old book technique, whatever you want to call it, making paper look old. Alright, so we've done it with the browns, and now we are going to do it with the pinks. This is just water, by the way, a little bottle of water. And I'm going to clean my brush. Okay, it will dry. It will take long distressing all that paper, so it's going to dry if I don't clean it, so I'm going to clean it. Okay, so let's get everything done here. Okay, so I have my little bits of paper right here that I have already torn. I have my two distress ink pink colors. This is the Victorian Velvet and this is the Worn lipstick. Now I have no idea which one is lighter than the other or darker than the other, so I will need to test this first. Now, let me just get one that I haven't torn, because I know one will be lighter than the other, and I think this one that looks darker is actually lighter. So, and I won't be taking off any ink. Actually, let me do it another way. Let me just do it another way. Like that. And like that. Oh, okay, so, told you. this one that looks darker is actually lighter. It's a lighter pink. This one's a more distressed, a more vintage pink. So I will be using this one on the edge, just on the edge, and this one going in. All right. Okay. So take that out. I did just put a whole bunch of this ink on here. Okay. Now I know this one very, very inky. I need to take a lot of that out. So take the excess out of your sponge. Don't forget to take the excess out of your sponge. And then circular motion. Just bring it, tilt it up, and then slowly bring it in. And this is looking great. I think the pink version will be just as pretty as the brown version. I did change the distress ink tool around, because if we are tilting it, we are using the ink on this side and not on that side. So then you can just tilt it and then turn it around again and tilt it. Right? Get some more ink. And get that all in. And I did forget to use the music paper, didn't I? For the brown one. So I have the music paper right here next to me so that I don't forget this time. Because it's just another option if you don't have the tissue paper with the nice images. Well, then you can just use different types of old book paper. Yes, and you did just see me dab the damn thing, didn't you? It's a very bad habit. But I've noticed that if I do that, I don't get as much ink on my distress tool, and I don't want that much ink on my distress tool because I'm going to take the excess off. So, well, whatever way you have, I don't like this one. This one's got too many white spaces. Okay. Whatever way you find that works best for you. Alright. So I think I'm going to just pause the video a little bit so that you don't see me do the same thing over and over again, because it does get boring. You already know how it works. Take the ink, take the excess off, tilt your sponge tool or your distress ink tool, and then gradually just bring it back in. Okay, everyone knows how that works. Don't need to see me do it again. You don't need to see me do that again, do you? Okay, I think you've all got it. So I will be pausing the video. Let me just finish this one and I will be pausing the video. When I come back, I will have all my little pieces done and even a music paper done. Alright? Okay, so I have finished distressing everything in the pink tone in my worn lipstick. And it doesn't look that bad, actually looks quite pretty. I like how that looks. And now I will be going on to the darker pink, which is the Victorian Velvet in my case. And this is a little bit more difficult because the ink pad, the smaller ink pad is more, well, it gets to the edges better than the bigger ink pad. But I can still get there. It won't go as fast, but it will get there. See how that looks? That looks very, very nice. Actually, that looks very, very nice. I think I know how I'm going to do my cover for my Shabby Chic Junk Journal. I will be doing something like this. Let me just show you against the white how this looks. You can see the difference here with the brown and the pink. How nice that looks. Here's one without the dark edge. You can see the difference. It makes such a big difference. And it looks so, so pretty. I'm so, so anxious to do a Shabby Chic Junk Journal. I'm getting a little bit tired. Not a little bit, actually quite a lot. I'm getting very tired of all the browns. I'm the type of artist that will shift from one tone to another, from one type of art project to another. I will shift, and I am shifting colors right at this moment. And I actually feel like doing things with a whole bunch of colors. And this afternoon I actually did do a whole bunch of things with colors. I think I actually put it on my Instagram history. I'm preparing a freestyle art journal. Now, if you don't know what that means, it just means that you paint things. You paint paper freely. There's no objective. There's no realism. It's very abstract. I like abstract. And then you doodle things that don't look like anything. So it's just freestyle. It's like you put your hand and you just go wild. And I did a whole bunch of for the first time actually. So they don't look as nice as those wonderful accounts that you just see with these freestyle art journals. But I'll get there, you know. I really want to try it out. It's very, very liberating. It's very, very freestyle. So I would actually enjoy that a lot. And it was just these bright, bright colors. I used the pinks. I used the turquoise. I used yellows. I used the light blue, green. Oh, it was such a pleasure to actually see these bright colors. So I am really getting very, very tired of the browns. And I didn't do many junk journals in brown, but I think all that, I did have about, 2 to 3 months in preparing embellishments and everything in those brown tones and the vintage tones. And you can see I got very tired of that. Very, very tired. And maybe that's why I'm actually quite anxious to start a pink journal. A shabby chic journal. It's got no brown. I've showed you my my color palette that I'm thinking of working with, and going to try and keep to that color palette. I'll show you now. That's this one here. You see no browns there, so it's all nice in pinks. One blue. There is a grey there, but it doesn't bother me that much. But nice pastel blues and pastel pinks, and maybe I'll even put a yellow, pastel yellows. And I know I need a contrast, and I will not be using brown. I will be using black. I know the shabby chic, it looks very, very pretty, just those colors, and it does look very, very pretty. But I like contrast as well, so just to give it that extra interest. I think contrast gives it that extra interest. And I will be using black. Alright, I will be pausing the video once again and just doing this because this is very boring for you to watch. So I will, when I come back, I will have all of this nicely distressed just on the edge with my Victorian, what's it called? Victorian velvet. I'll be back. Okay, so that is done, and I will be just seeing how many I need. And I'm just trying not to put my text upside down. I think I didn't put any upside down there, but one never knows. It's hard when you're talking and when you're doing the project. It's hard not to make mistakes. So, placing my pieces of paper. I'll do these ones last, the music paper. Oh, I will need more paper. Will I be needing more paper? Just because of that one there. Let me see if I can bring that closer. There we go. Okay, let me see if I can remember this. Let me see if this all comes out nicely. Yeah, ha, did it. How about that? Okay, so once again, the paintbrush, your gel medium, matte medium, whatever you use, your glue, your Mod Podge. My paintbrush is dry already, so just put some on the page, put some on your brush, wherever you are used to doing, and spread that glue. Spread it nicely. Be generous. Let me just start putting some up. Remember to also put some glue on the page so that it sticks nicely, because it won't stick if it doesn't have glue. So if you're overlapping, don't forget the glue on the paper. Now where did that one go? Can't remember. There? Somewhere there. Why can't I do this? Right, let me do this one first. It will never go in the right place. It will never go in the same place, so it doesn't bother me. I just didn't want to go into stress anymore. You can see the pink is already reacting, which looks great. Does look great. I hope I'm in screen there. I'm not running away from you. Now those white patches, they will bother me quite a lot. Just get this one here. It's a nice big one. So I do have some left, which is great. That one will actually go there. And I will use a little bit of that right there. So I will need to distress just the edge of this one. And cover up that hole there. Still have some on my brush. Okay, there we go. That was right. Had still some left. Okay, let's do some music paper. Now you can, of course, you can leave it like this, as you, alright. If you do leave it like this and you don't put any more papers on top, just take your Mod Podge or your medium and just put a nice little cover of medium on top of this. Make the distress ink react. It'll look pretty. It'll look even prettier because it'll like blend everything together. I will be putting some music paper somewhere like that. How about like that? Okay. So I will be using the same glue, the same medium, and again I will just put some on and then spread it. This music paper is very, very thin. I had a hard time actually distressing this music paper. It's so thin. It kept folding, like this one here, it kept folding. And so when you're distressing, you'll find out what papers actually are easier to distress and what papers are harder, which bend, which fold, which don't cooperate. It's all a learning process. Okay, so that's that, and that can also stay just as it is, and I will just put a nice little coat of medium on top of that. But I will be going to the tissue paper because I really like that. You can see the difference. Doesn't that look great? That pink looks, that brown looks fantastic, but that pink looks just it looks great. And let me see what I have. Here we go. That just came loose. So let me see what I have. I have the globe. I actually like that bicycle. I think I want that man on a bicycle. Oh, and there's a bird. I want that bird. Definitely want that bird. I don't want that. Oh, don't need that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to tell. The bird. I need the bird. Yep, there we go. I know it. That's how much I need. Alright, that goes back in the box. And let's see. Don't want that. It's too dark. And I don't want the lion. This is a lion head. Lion coffee. This is a lion coffee. So I'll be taking that out. I will be saving it for something else. Not going to go into the bin just yet. There we go. So I want that bicycle and I want that bird. And I like that script right there. Okay, so let's do this again. Put some medium on my page and spread. I'll be spreading all over, even if my tissue paper is not going to cover everything, because it won't. It'll be covering just some spots, but at least I will have the cover of medium already all over the page. And then I won't need to do those spots again. Okay, exaggerate it a little bit on this medium here. On the quantity, but it's alright, it doesn't bother me. So that'll come up. Try to spread it nicely so they don't have any grooves and folds in the middle here, no air bubbles. Air bubbles won't look nice. Oops. Bring your finger into the glue. It'll come off. Don't worry. Alright. Let me just put some glue on this side as well, because it is going to, I'm not going to cut this part. It does need to stick. And it won't stick if you don't put glue in the bottom. Alright, so that looks good. And my medium is already nice and pink. Doesn't that look great? I really like that. Really, really do like that. I'm so doing this for my cover. Alright, so now I'm just putting a nice coat on top of the tissue paper, and that'll be it. Why do I close this? Be generous, don't be skimpy about this. You need a nice good coat that it won't come off. Now I know that some of the mediums do tend to, when they're dry, still be sticky. I don't know which mediums stick less and stick more. I don't know if this one sticks more than Mod Podge. I can't give you that information, but it's something that you'll just have to try out. So I'm just doing my brush strokes all the same way now on the whole page, and that just stuck on my fingers, sorry. It's still a little bit wet, not completely dry. Okay, so that is done. Let me just clean my brush. Love this little cup thingy. Very, very handy. It's got two little compartments with water. I bought this in a local art and craft store that has actually closed, unfortunately, but anyway, nothing lasts forever, does it? Alright, so Now when this dries completely, what I will do is just flip it around and cut all the excesses off here. Okay, but how great does that look? There's the brown, right? Looks really like, it really looks like I put burnt pages on this page. Doesn't it look really, really awesome? And then here's the pink version. The pink version, I don't know if it'll have that burnt faux look, but I like it. I really, really do like it. It's softer. It's more shabby chic. Like the bird. Bicycle's cool. So that is how I made my cover for, and I don't even know where it is, for the album. Not the album, my junk journal. This one. Okay. I used that technique right there. Well, that color. I used these colors. The technique is the same. I just used those colors for this album, for this junk journal. Keep calling it an album. Well, it will be an album soon because I will be putting photographs in it. I already know what I'm going to do with this. It will be for photographs. Okay. So maybe a travel journal, or maybe it will be for a photographs of a journey my husband and I did. So that's how I did it. And I really love, well, this one really looks great. It does. This one's a little, very, very subtle. It's very, very soft. And it all depends on what you're going for. You can even use different other colors. If you have two types of blues, a darker blue and a lighter blue, greens, or a blue and a green. Oh, that must look great. Oh, no, I want to try the blue and the green. Okay, let me shut up before I get more ideas. But anyway, you get the idea. A darker color and a lighter color. You can see my fingers are really distressed. Wow, that's going to take days to come off. I'm joking. It all depends what you're going for. So if you want the burnt look, if you want a nice softer look, if you just want happy colors, use the blues, use reds. Distress ink has loads and loads of colors. So play and experiment, and I will be seeing you later.